And this is part 2 of the top 10 chat GPT most commonly asked fitness questions. Starting off with number 6, which is, how do I stay motivated? First thing I'll say on this is that discipline beats motivation, hands down. The second thing I'll say is that it's the workouts that you don't want to do that are basically the most important workouts. It's all well and good when the going is good and you're feeling motivated, but the things that will keep you going are the workouts that you hate and the times that you hate. And the third thing I'll say is that if you aren't really committed to this, deep down you know you aren't committed. So although you might try and kid yourself, you might try and get something started, maybe in there you're thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm 60% invested in this, I'm 70% invested. There's a big difference. People often have a breakthrough. They'll try, and then something will just click, and they'll be in it, and they'll be in it to see through right to the end. I think the best advice I've got to stay motivated is, let's just say you really despise the gym. You absolutely hate it. You hate going. Just accept it. Accept that you detest the gym and go anyway. And one last thing to say is that I will say that most of my clients don't actually enjoy the working out process. What they do enjoy is the sense of achievement at the end of the workouts. Some days I don't like working out. I don't enjoy every workout. Every time you've got to think of it from my perspective. I'm a trainer. I'm like a torturer in some ways, but I'm showing almost myself when I'm doing some workouts that I know I'm going to do myself in an hour's time. I'm showing myself the implements of torture, and I'm looking thinking, I'm going to be doing this. And sometimes I don't enjoy it, but discipline beats motivation. Number 7 is, what are the best exercises for beginners? That question really depends on your age, your ability, your experience. When in doubt, the best thing to do would be to hire a good personal trainer. And yes, I mean a good personal trainer. I don't mean one of these Mickey Mouse trainers who all they have is a bodybuilding career and an Instagram following. Someone with a recognized industry standard qualification and with experience and with testimonials to back it up. Preferably someone coming from someone you know. A good trainer will take away all of these concerns right away by assessing you and planning your sessions. If, however, you're doing this by yourself, then you want to keep it simple. Just do something where you're covering all your bases. You want to build a good level of fitness. That could be something as simple as just being able to run 800 meters without stopping. You can do that on outside, you can do it on a treadmill. You might need to build up to it. When it comes to resistance training, you want to go for big compound movements. Compound movements are movements that involve multiple joints. So they're not your kind of isolation exercise where you're just doing the mirror muscles. They'll work a little bit of everything, and they'll work on your, in a way, your fitness as well, your lifting fitness. I have something I call the Power 5. And this is a good starting point that you can start with. It's 5 exercises. It's a deadlift, it's a back squat, it's a bench press, it's a chin-up, and it's a clean. If you can do those 5 exercises and you can do them well, you can have them in one workout, then it makes a really good starting point for your progression. I wouldn't do them every single time I go to the gym. Maybe you could do them every day just for the first, maybe if you're starting with good technique, for the first maybe month or so. After that, you're going to have to start branching out. But with these Power 5 exercises, you get a really good foundation from which to build. And that foundation comes from the fact that they cover all the major movements. You have your hip hinge, you have your hip extension, you have your horizontal kind of pressing movements, you have your overhead pulling movements, and you have a power movement in the clean that works a little bit of everything. Question number 8 is, how do I prevent injuries? The older you get, the more you wish you'd done things differently when you were younger. So here you can benefit from my mistakes. First thing is just foam roll at the beginning of your session. You want to mobilize, especially the body parts you're going to train. You want to target your weak links. You want to perform warm-up sets. And don't go to complete and total failure on any exercise. How does that look in a session? So you'd spend maybe 5 minutes on the foam roller. Then you do 5 minutes on that relevant mobilization exercise. Maybe it's the upper body, maybe it's the lower body. Then you've got a few minutes where you add maybe some dynamic movements in, so you cover a few more of the bases there. And it gives you around about 45 minutes for you to dedicate to the rest of the training session. And obviously don't forget that warm-up set, maybe 1 or 2. I find that the heavier you're going to lift, the bigger the lift or the more demanding the lift is, more complicated, the more warm-up sets you would need to get you in the groove and just feel things out and listen to your body at that stage. You know, this doesn't feel quite right. I need to go back to the roller. Question number 9 is, how do I improve or maintain flexibility? This one, really nowadays, there's no excuse not to do some kind of mobility exercise. There are so many platforms out there where you can get something. You don't have to go to a class, go to your app store, go to your Play Store, download some kind of app. In a previous video, I said 5 minutes for mobility work. That can be something that I created, which I designed specifically for this because I find mobilization training really boring. So I did a video series called 5-Minute Mobilization. And to people like me who hate it, you get in, you do it 5 minutes, it's finished. You can add that into your gym sessions. Yoga might be something to consider, but personally I find yoga very boring and too time intensive, when you can get a lot of the benefits from yoga by just doing a more intelligent and shorter specific training program. Lastly, number 10 is, how can I measure my progress and my goals? So this all depends on what your goal actually is, because weight loss goals and, for example, muscle building goals work on completely different time horizons. Weight loss can be relatively quick, and I would set realistic targets of 1 to 2 pounds a week at maximum, depending on how much you have to lose. But bear in mind is that as you go down the weight loss journey, it will become more and more difficult to lose weight. So you might need to actually downshift your calorie intake again to match your new desired outcome. If you weigh 100 kilos and you eat as a 90 kilo person, eventually you'll break even with that 90 kilo person diet because you weigh 90 kilos. If your aim is to get down to 85, you then need to downshift to an 85 kilo person. When it comes to muscle building, you have to be very realistic about what can be achieved. You have to really manage your expectations. If you're a novice lifter, then you can expect very good results in your first couple of years because your body is primed to lift, it's learning to lift, and the energy will go to creating the muscle and creating these neural pathways and motor units to be able to lift. So you'll get very good results, especially if you're young. If you're intermediate advanced, however, it's a very hard, slow journey with less room for error. You could be lucky if you're a master lifter without drugs to be able to gain 1 to 2 pounds of lean muscle in a whole year. So these are very small margins. What I will say is to take a journal for either side, weight loss, muscle building, have a workout journal. In that you can monitor your sets and reps. This is something I did when I first started lifting. Now I use an application, my own application. Because week 1, you see, I did this many for this many. Week 2, I did this many for this many. And it keeps you in check. It keeps you in line, because if you look and says, well, I've been doing this for the same 4 weeks, the same weight, I know it could go up. It's time to move up in a weight. Then you say, right, I'm going to add an extra, 2.55% to this lift. I'm going to try and repeat it. So you constantly have these steps of improvements that should keep you honest. And also, if you take a break, you come back, you realize, geez, I've lost about 15% strength. I'm not going to let that happen again. So a journal can be a brilliant tool to maintain your motivation, maintain your improvement, monitor your goals, but not only that, but keep you moving forward. That's it. Top 10 fitness questions, part 1, part 2. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like that kind of stuff, if you have any more questions you want me to answer, then just put in the comments and I will consider doing a video if it's worthy of my time. Because you know I like my time. That's why I don't do yoga.